Tupac shirt. Just threw something on, then you play a song and you dance around like you got a crowd, but it gotta leave when the clothes hit the ground. I know I get distant. Girl, believe me when I say that I miss this. Spending time with a dime, having real FaceTime, gotta be up on the top of my wish list. She said, baby, I miss you, I need you, come fix this. You snap me, that see-through, girl. I'll be there real quick. On the highway, foot up on the gas, but if I had it my way, with the child's play, I would jet to you. Think of any way faster to get to you. And I know that you be wishing I was next to you. But the time will come, so have your fun, but can't nobody step to you. No, I'm the one, don't find a bum. If it's not me, I just want what's best for you. Till then, I got you, rock you to sleep. Nothing will haunt you, no, not with me. I'll be there at the end of the day. I might be late, baby, I am on my way. I'll be late, but I'm coming home, baby. And I know you done had a day, but no matter what you say, I am here to stay. Baby, I'll be on my way. Red box and bourbon, running back flower petals are perfect. Errands all day on my feet, I've been working. Sweat and beat, you can't tell on the surface. Finally with you rolling up and we're burning. So I stop, but tonight I deserve it. When I'm home, it's quiet on the earth, and I wanna thank you for being my person. You say you need me, and that feeling is mutual. I'm so glad that you see me as beautiful. I think you one of a kind. I promise all day you done been on my mind. I lay you down, I love the sound you let out whenever there's a chill down your spine. We all got weaknesses, but I'm happy to say that I know that you gotta be mine. Cause I love your energy, you and I, we got synergy. And it's like we the same, they don't fuck with you, then they just made two enemies. That's just part of the game, not one, that was two. And I feel like a better me, girl, I can't even complain. Admit I don't know the last thing that you said to me, all I can hear is you saying my name. When you say come home, I'll be there fast. Anything just to make this last. You'll be in my arms by the end of the day.
Damn, my audio sounds pretty bad. Yo. Yo. Guys, turn comments off? I didn't mean to do that. Wait, why is it says it's disabled? Live chat is disabled for this live stream. Oh no, I didn't mean to turn off comments. Okay, hey, Abdul, try now. It's because I had it available for children. Because I had it marked for kids. Right?
Expectations got them stressing. The ones who would rather persevere, bust they ass trying to make it, cause they ain't really living in the present. They out here grinding, seeking purpose.
Why can I not hear?
Tuning out the useless voices that discourage rhyming.
Alright, let me just make this post real quick.
Don't affect you while you testing me. And as of late, I've been asking God why he blessing me. I could cry enough tears to feel the Chesapeake. Hold it together, girl, you deserve the world. And if no one else will say it, then I spit it to the mic in the studio when I lay and I play it when you discouraged. I know chasing the impossible takes some courage. And I can promise at the end of your journey, when it's all said and done, will nothing feel much better than hearing my nigga, you won. Hey, I'ma make it in the rain or shine. All about my money, don't waste my time. Ain't nobody gonna bring me down. I'm on an elevator. I'm on to something greater. Ain't nobody gonna take my crown.
think we're good to go now. Post on every booking platform. Share this to a yeah, just to
look like pages, dry mascara look like ink. To the J's I roll for solitude and ash up in the sink. If I don't accomplish none, I hope this music make you think, yeah. I hope this music make you think, yeah. I hope this music make you think, yeah. I hope this music make you think.
let me cut this. All right, cool. So everything looks good right now. Y'all let me know if problems. Let me change my music. I don't know what y'all like to listen to personally, but I like to design to certain stuff. So I'll probably play what I would design to just so that you know, y'all can okay, so now you can see the chat bet. All right, we're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. I'm going to be going over how to make. I'll just start with fonts. That's all I like to play with a lot. So I'll just show y'all the fonts, like the fonts I be using to work and things like that. So yeah. First things first. If you're on Mac, I do have the patcher for Adobe any Adobe product in the description. So if you click that Google Drive, it'll take you to the file, download it, open it, and just click patch. And that'll patch your Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, whatever you want to use. So go download that. If you don't have Photoshop already, just want to make sure everybody knew that. So first things first, make sure you got your Photoshop open. And personally, whenever I'm working on the design and things like that, I always start with a blank file, obviously. So I usually go 2000 by 2000 pixels. Make sure it was working in pixels mostly. You don't really want to work in inches unless you're doing like a print, which is like posters or things like that. So I definitely want to go with points, sir. I don't use centimeters, millimeters, maybe inches. If I'm maybe doing like a print I want to get printed out, make sure it's the right size. So make sure that you have 2000 by 2000. And your resolution, the lower the resolution, the lower obviously the resolution of whatever you're designing. So me personally, I run 300 pixels per inch. Personally, that's just because that gives you the best quality, really the best quality period, like for whatever you're doing. Anything higher than that, really, like, you really don't need, unless you're doing something that you have to zoom in so small that you would need something like that. So I personally don't run it like that. Yeah, so anyways, 2000 by 2000, 300 resolution. You can name it whatever you want. I'll name it whoa. So Amok Design School will be the name of the file that we're gonna run with. Actually, let's listen to some ADOT. What that? Anyways, so 2000 by 2000, 300 pixels per inch. Make sure you have that set up. Like that's the best way to do anything. So yeah, go ahead and hit create. It'll bring up this right here, which is a layer. And I prefer to work in artboards. I didn't tell you about that. I personally prefer to work in artboards just based off the fact that you can make more than one. So like, let's say I want to make 2 designs that are similar. I can work like this. I can put one at the bottom. I can put one on the side. I can put one to the left, to the right. You know, whichever one you want to do. You know, so I usually work in that way, just based off of that. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to one artboard. I really don't need more than one. So this is what you start with. Obviously, a blank design, a blank artboard per se. Which it's actually white on here, but it's transparent. So whatever you make on here and you export it as a PNG, it'll be a blank at the back. So you don't have to worry about that. You can put on a t-shirt or whatever. So let's see. Make sure that your tools should already be set up like this. I haven't really. I'm gonna work in the. Actually, let me open up the regular workspace, which is I'm in it. The essentials workspace is what you want to be in, because you don't want to. Y'all aren't that complex, obviously, if you're watching this. So just open up essentials. So your tool should look like this. This is the text tool right here. I'm gonna be showing y'all how to use some fonts and things like that. I saw somebody respond on the Amok story about that. So we're gonna go with fonts. Anyways, personally, it depends on how I'm working. It's how I set up my font. So let's say, I'm working in a cramped space. So I'll build a box essentially. So like my lines won't go outside of where it is. No matter how big my font is, it won't go outside of this box that's on the screen, essentially. So yeah. Let me show y'all something else. So instead of using it like this, you could just do it at a regular line. But as you can see, however long you put it, it'll go outside of the size of your actual design. So I personally don't really use this way unless I'm doing something in particular. So we're gonna go with the box just because we're working on it with a shape size. You can do it smaller if you want, or you can do it like this size. You can do, you know, like this. But for now, we're just gonna go with a regular box. Me personally, my fonts, I download most of them. I don't really use the base fonts given to you on Photoshop. But these are some of the fonts that I have. I have quite a few fonts. Some of them I haven't used yet. Some of them I've used for design. Some of them I use for flyers, posters, things like that. But the thing with fonts is too, you can play with them. So if you get a base font, you can do things to it to make it how you want it to look, essentially. I can show you guys how I get my fonts, if you guys want, or where I get my fonts per se. I'll pull that up on the screen now. If you guys want to take a look at that. Dang. There we go. All right, so this is where I get my fonts from. Uppity. So this is where I get my fonts from. It's called DeFont. So yeah, I get all of my fonts from here. Well, almost all my fonts. If I'm looking for something in particular, I'll find it somewhere else. But they have a lot of fonts on here. You can get, you know, Gothic, cartoon, whatever you're looking for, distorted, Arabic. They have some animals, you know, calligraphy, school, things like that are all on here that you can use. You know, so calligraphy is more like handwritten. If you're going for something more handwritten, you can go with this. I play around with brush a lot. I I play around with, let's see, what else do I be using? Graffiti. I go old school sometimes. I have a lot of graffiti fonts. I go old school too, which is kind of like the vibe I have for the Cream BA designs. I got a few of the ones for like the posters and flyers on here. Like this one right here. I used that one before. Like this one right here is good too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna download a font and we're gonna work with that one because I don't want to use a font that I already have that you guys don't know about. So let's see, which font should I go with? Question. Let's look in kids maybe, more towards shape. We can go sci-fi. All right, let's go sci-fi. See. I kind of like this one right here, this Dream MMA. So I'm gonna go ahead and download that. They're all free. All the fonts in here are free. So don't worry about having to pay for them or anything. So if you go ahead and want to grab one of these, you can. I just downloaded Dream. So working with Dream MMA by I Remember Halloween. All right. So what you want to do is just go into your downloads, obviously, and just click the font file. It should be a zip file. Just unzip it. Should open up a folder. It should look something similar to this. I'll pull it up on the screen now. I'll pull it up on the screen now for you guys to take a look at. Can't seem to find it in my OBS. Okay, here it is. So yeah, this is the font book. So once you open the file, it should look like this, right? It should look something like this. Once you've opened the font file, just click install. It's pretty simple. Just click install, and then it'll validate the font, and it'll download itself. So yeah, that's pretty much it on that. Yeah. Once you have the font installed, it'll automatically go into Photoshop by itself. You really don't have to do anything else, right? So I have my font now. So once I have my font, what are we using? Dream. So just you can double click right here, open up Dream. So this is the font we're working with. I'm gonna go ahead and put Amok. Oops. Well, yeah, Amok Design School. I'm gonna go ahead and change it to the font we chose, or I chose per se, which was Dream. So yeah. Like I said, sometimes when you do it like this, the font might be too big. So you can make it a little smaller. I'm at 95 right now. I'm gonna go probably 36. So yeah. So Amok Design School is what I have right now. Usually you'll start off with black and white. Mine are not in black and white for some odd reason, but I'm gonna go ahead and change mine back to black so that it's easier for everybody to see. So Amok Design School. So this is what I start off with. So something like this, which is just a simple font right now. Amok Design School got this font from the fonts. Pretty simple per se, So let's say I was gonna take this and I wanted to make like a logo for a flyer or something. I wouldn't simply put this on there. Obviously just based because it's not very, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the best word to use. It's not very appealing per se. So personally, when I'm working with things like that, I try my best to play around with it, give it color, depending on what we're working with. So I'm gonna take this font and I'm gonna funk it up. I'm gonna funk it up a little bit. So you want to double click on the right side of your font, away from the words right here. Make sure that you're double clicking on the font so that this screen will pop up. It'll be layer styles. I'll pull it up on the screen now. I'll make sure I pull up the layer styles. So yeah. Um, once you have layer styles on the screen, which is right here, I try to put it in a place where I can see it while I'm working. So usually I'll move it like down anywhere. So when I'm playing with this is a bit more complex than I like to show you guys, but I'm gonna show y'all what some simple stuff. So with things like this, there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can change the blend mode, which is how it looks on top of something else. And there's another way where you can play with it to give it different kinds of textures and things of that nature. So yeah, you can give it a bevel and emboss, which is something I like to play around with. You can give it a inner glow, but all that stuff I'll probably have to show at a later date, just based off of this being a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all something. So usually when I'm working with something like this, I try not to have too much attention on the logo, because you want to have attention on everything else on the flyer per se, or poster, whatever you're working with. So I'll go with, let's see, I'll probably put a I could put a simple gradient over this, but I'm trying to think what's the best way I should go about this. We can go bevel and emboss. We can go bevel. Actually, bevel's a little too complex. I'm gonna go ahead and go with stroke. So what a stroke is essentially is an outline. So like, let's say you draw something, you draw your name out in bubble letters, and you go outline it with a different color, but you fill it in with another. That's essentially what a stroke is. But the thing with a stroke is you can have it on the inside and on the out, if that makes any sense. So what the stroke is, it gives the outline of your font. So I have a position outside right now instead of inside or center. So you can have it on the inside, which changes it to this. Or you can go with center, changes it to this. I personally prefer outside, depending on how on what the design is. Inside, it's kind of too, I don't know what the word is, but I prefer to run outside. Make sure your blend modes are normal. And at this point, you can play around with it. You know, you can change the size. You can make it obviously not that large, but you can make it like this, kind of give it like its own shading behind it, kind of so. You can make it real small, to where it's like you can barely see it, but you know it's there. You know, and let's say we go on the inside, right? We make it, that's basically filling in the whole image, but you can still see the little hints of black on the side. So yeah, I prefer, if I'm gonna go inside, I go real thin, kind of like right here, so like you can see it, but you can't. I kind of like this, but I'll go outside for now, because that's what I prefer to work with if I were to really make something. So I'll go with about size. I'll go size 6. What color should I go with? I think I'll go with a light blue. I kind of like light blue. Kind of like light blue. So yeah, I'm gonna go light blue. Anyways, I'm gonna go light blue. So that's your stroke. This is one of the things you can do to a font to make it look better for whatever you're using it for. You're making a design, you want to make a flyer, poster, things like that. So another thing I like to use is inner glow, which is basically like giving the inside of your font a shadow, per se. Or it's like giving it a kind of, per se, like a glow to it. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference between this and that, but this is the inner glow. You can tell. I mean inner shadow, I'm so sorry. Inner glow is this right here, which is where you can give something a kind of font. So I'm going to take this same blue that I had, or take this blue. Can't seem to grab it. Anyways, we'll go back and grab that same blue we had, right? And give it an inner. Make sure your stuff is on normal, right? You want to always make sure your blend mode's on normal. I'm not going to be the one to get into blend modes. You'll probably see somebody else getting into blend modes. But for now, just keep everything at normal. You can change the color right here. Anything you like, you know, black, white, green, blue, orange, whatever you want. So I like to play with the opacity. You can play with the size too, which changes like where it is, you know, things like that. So I think I'll go somewhere around here, kind of like that, or might reduce the size a bit. I like that right there. So we're gonna go with this right here. This is the inner glow. So we also have satin, which is kind of like an overlay. You're basically shadowing over the whole font. I personally don't use satin a lot because if I were to do this, I'd just change the color of the font. So I personally don't use satin, but that's what satin is. You have color overlay, which is basically changing the color of the font. So you can go red, you know, and that'll change your font essentially behind the inner glow and things like that. So I personally don't use color overlay. I'll just change the color. That gradient overlay, which is something that I use a lot, and when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. So for that to work, I've got to turn some of these things off. Anyways, actually, let's keep our inner glow on and our stroke. So yeah, this is exactly what a gradient overlay is. It puts a gradient over your font, making things like a shift, kind of like a rainbow. So let's see. You can play around with the ones. These are presets that are already on Photoshop, but you can change the colors. So like, let's see. I can take this rainbow right here. Let's not take the rainbow. Let's take the brown. So let's take this brown. Just click the color. Let's go with the light blue we already had, right? Right. Go with that light blue. Make sure that you guys are changing the colors to whatever you want. That is not the right color. I'm sorry, guys. I believe that's around the same color. So yeah, you can play around with things like this. And with a gradient though, you don't want to have all the same colors because then it'll just be one solid color. You want to play around. You can put white, black, you know, make it a little darker. Like when I'm doing gradients like this, I like to play around with different shades of the same color. So like, let's take this right here. So this is a gradient overlay. It kind of just changes the flow of colors. And you can change the angle of it. You can change the direction, the scale, things like that. So if I want the colors to point upwards, put it 90 degrees. If you want it to point the other way, you can go negative 175 or negative 180, whatever you want, you know. So you can change the direction of the colors very simply by just changing the angle, or you can reset it, you know, and then you can change the style of how the gradient moves. You can have it in an angle, you can have it reflected, you can have it as a diamond, you know, things like that, radial, things like that. I personally stay with linear. Might change to diamond sometimes, you never know. So that's a gradient overlay. I'll keep that on there. Pattern overlay is, make sure things are on normal. Is essentially putting a kind of texture on top of your font. This is what I was talking about when I mean texture. So let's take off this gradient overlay, right? And this inner glow, right? And now we have a pattern overlay. So if you're looking inside of the font stroke, there's different styles on top of the font. So we have, these are the presets given to us, obviously, you know, so you can just do things like this. Whatever you want to put on top of it, you can. I personally don't use textures, the preset textures that often. You can make a new pattern if you want, you know. You can create patterns, things like that. There are a lot of presets already made. You can get some online as well that are there. So that's a pattern overlay. Personally don't use it. I'm gonna turn back on these two. Actually turn this down a bit. It's a little strong, don't you think? Anyways, so outer glow. I use outer glow a ton. When I tell you a ton, I'm telling you a ton. So for outer glow, it's kind of like a shading behind a faint shading behind your font. So when I'm using outer glow, I personally go whatever color is the secondary color. So if I'm going with a black and white font and black's secondary, black's gonna be my outer glow. That's how I personally use it. You can do it the other way if you'd like, but personally that's how I do it. So I say like a mint green is more towards our is more towards ours. Maybe I'm not right, but let's try it. Sometimes you gotta just play around so you can get the color you want. Let's see. I think that's about it, right? Looks a bit off though. That's just a little hard to know if ones you want to play with. I found the perfect color. I'm gonna go right here. So anyways, make sure your blend mode's on normal. Make sure your opacity, you can just play with the opacity. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't even tell you this. Opacity is basically how visible something is, how well you can see it. So the lower the opacity, the less visible it is. So if you turn the opacity down, turn it to 0, you can't see it anymore. So make sure that when you're playing with opacity, you know where you want it to be. Especially with outer glow, sometimes you don't want it too strong. Like in this instance, I don't want it that strong. So I'll personally go a little bit lower, probably 75 is the best. And then noise, you don't even want to play with that. So you can leave that alone. So this right here is your color selector. You can change your color. Right here is you can choose a gradient. So if I wanted my outer glow to be one of these gradient layers like we were playing with before, you can. So if I want to go with the brown or this color, or if I even want to go this color, you know, you can do that. You just gotta, and like I said, you can change the colors if you want. You know, you can go black right here if you'd like. You can go to light blue if you like right here. You know, you can do that. So whenever you play with it however you want. So just go like this, play around with it. I'm personally not going to use one of these. I'm not going to make one either. But just for reference, you can use a gradient if you'd like. So right down here is how you can play with the technique. You can make it precise, which personally not really my preference, but softer is a lot better. You can change the spread, which is like the size of it essentially. So like right here, it's just like a blob, you know. So you like to keep your spread low. That kind of makes it a little bit more saturated. The size, that's how you make it smaller around your font. So if you want your gradient, your outer glow right around your words, you can make it a little smaller. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like this color. I think I'm gonna go with the light blue. Right here. Anyways, I'm sorry, I changed the color. So right down here you have your contour, which essentially is you changing the way it looks. So I usually run linear, which is the base. You can go cone, and like I said, you can play around with these. I'm not going to go too in depth. That's a little bit more advanced than what I'm going for this live stream. But you can change it, you know, to the cone, inverted, cone deep. All these are different kinds of elements you can change to make your font look different. So when you're doing that, you can do this and that and this, you know, different kinds of things. Personally, I'll just run linear, you know, and then we have drop shadow. I personally use drop shadow when I'm using a colored font that clashes with the background that I'm using. So let's say that I'm making a poster and it's white, right? And I'm like, oh man, this white font is what I want to use. Or let's say I'm using a cream font that you kind of can't see the words. I'll use a drop shadow, which is a drop shadow basically is putting something behind the font to make it a lot more visible. So as you can see, without the drop shadow on, it's just Amok Design School. Essentially behind it is a whole black right behind it. You know, make sure this is on normal, by the way. So yeah, that's exactly what a drop shadow is. You can change the angle. You can have it pointed to the left if you want. You can have it pointed down, you know, things like that. You can change, you can play around with that. You can change the color. I don't know why my PSP file keeps moving. But anyways, you can change the color. You want to go red, you can go red. You want to go, you know, green, you can go green. You want to go, you know, orange, you can go orange. Things like that. I personally will keep it black, just because black is the base color of a shadow. So personally, I'll keep mine black, unless it's something funky is going on with my file or the design I'm looking for. You can change the distance as well. So if you play the distance, that's basically making the shadow further away. I was looking for the word to use. So right now you can obviously see Amok design school behind it, right? Personally, I would never have a font look like this. But this is just to demonstrate. You can have it all the way down here if you'd like. I go somewhere around here. You change the spread, essentially, which just makes it a little like deeper, which is something I like to play around with. Something like this is cool. Size is changing the actual size of it, so it's making it a lot thicker. You don't want to have it that big because then it just looks like a blob, essentially. You want to keep it preferably pretty low. And as I was talking about the contour, you can change it to cone, things like that. It'll change the way your font looks behind it, the way your drop shadow looks. And all these things are just like things like this, contour, you know, distance, spread, all those things. There's no exact reference for it. You can choose whatever you want. So personally, I'll just go linear for now, just to demonstrate with you guys. So this is what we have with the font that I chose. I put a stroke, inner glow, gradient overlay, outer glow, and drop shadow on this. So you can see all that's visible right here. Oh wow, on my file I did that. Okay. So if you go right here, you can see all of the effects we placed: the stroke, the inner glow, the gradient overlay, the outer glow, and the drop shadow. So yeah, you can play around with these. If you want to go back and edit it, just click whichever one you want to edit. You can turn it off easily. You know, you can turn them all off if you'd like. There's a quicker way to do this. So I'll cancel that. And if you just click this eye right here next to the effects, it'll turn it off. You know? So that's the easiest way to turn them off. You can turn them back on by clicking the same eye. And you can scroll them up as well. So this is how you can play around with fonts, things like that. I'll show you one more technique that I use, which is bevel and emboss. So let me turn all these off so you can see what I'm talking about. Bevel and emboss is basically making a font, what's the word? Look engraved, per se. I wouldn't even say engraved. More so, a bit more realistic is a better word to use. Yeah, that's probably the best word to use. You know, so yeah. That's more like it. Anyways, so that's how you can play around with fonts. Bevel and emboss is something that I play around with a lot. So I'll just go outer bevel. You know, something like that. It makes things like, it just gives things a better feel. You can go size, direction, up, down.
Okay, my diamonds water like jet ski. Yes, she tryna suck me and sex me. What? Leave her on read when she text me. Hot. I'm a real zone 6 young nigga, better know I got me a hoe on Gresham. Damn, I meant Gresham. Hellcat geek, those special. Nobody can catch. Ain't get to the money, just shut up. Shut that shit bet up. Stop. Only go to the bank when I make a deposit. They told me stay down and get it, I got it. Bet will feel with biscotti. Soon as you try me, you dying. Top flow having a Nicki Minaj. Hot bitch ain't my dick like a Molly. Shooters, they standing behind me. They don't go back and forth, they don't work in no dime. What's poppin' beat?
Like that. That's like you use better than boss to make a certain look that you could want. Yeah, I'm not gonna dive too into it. Bevel and Boss is very complex how usage for fonts. So maybe next time we do this, I'll go over that. But for now, I'm gonna just leave it at that. So this is what it looks like with all our effects. Just to demonstrate what the different effects do. Yeah, that's also what the bevel and emboss. Take off the bevel and it looks like. So that's just to show you guys what the effects can do. So yeah, that's what I do with my. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I do with my fonts. I just play around with them, try to gather something. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. One thing I said I was gonna show you guys is how to make a mock-up, but personally, like me showing you guys that, I don't think would really be that big of a preference. Just based off of the fact that we haven't even gone over how to make a design. So I feel like me showing you a mock-up is a little more ahead of pace, but I'll do it anyway. So I will actually add a file where I have all of my blank products. Now put that on here. So let's take the back of the white shirt, which is what I have here. Let me take this off. Right. Anyways, so we have the back of a white t-shirt, right? So let's say you have a design that you want to use, and I'll open my Finder so you guys can see exactly what's going on. My screen. Okay, so here's my Finder, my documents. I'll take a design that I have in here, and if you have a design already, this will work for you. We haven't shown you guys how to make designs yet, but I've gone over fonts, so even then, let's take a word font that I have. Yo, that I made. I mean, a design I made here. You take something like. Okay, let's take this one, right? And all you have to do is just drag it in. It'll place itself. Just take a design. I made this with just fonts, by the way. There's no extra designs. I used all of the styles that I showed you before to make this exact design right here. So you can just take this and press enter. You can click. You can take this. I'm literally just taking this file, dragging it in. You can resize it however you want. As long as you made the file with the 300 pixels, like I told you, no matter how small or how large you make it, it really shouldn't show a difference in the quality. So yeah, you make it this small. I'm just gonna go pocket size. Here is cool. You press enter on your keyboard, or there's this arrow right here at the top. Let's say top middle. So it'll commit the transformation. So basically, do what you want it to do. It'll place it. So it'll place the logo wherever you want. So I put this in what's that? Left pocket, which is usually where you want to place a design, like left pocket. So you place something like that right here, And this is just a basic font. Open it even larger. This is just the font right here with an outer glow. This in the back was a lot more complicated. I probably used about 7 or 8 styles to make this. I can't remember, a while ago. But you can do all of this with what I showed you literally 5 to 10 minutes ago. Everything that I showed you, you can make this exact type of design or type of font you want. I can even actually open the file and show you guys. So I'm gonna go here. I'm going to show you guys the file. This might take me a while to find it, but okay, here it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this PSD file. Yeah. So as you look in the bottom right corner, let me move this out your way. If you look in the bottom right corner of my screen, there is a lot going on. All this stuff is from a poster. Anyways, all this stuff right here is what I use to make this font, right? So this is a font style. Let's just open this one up, and these are called smart objects, right? So this is the final product, but before this, there are several steps you gotta do to get here, right? So I convert them into smart objects, so it's the easiest way to keep going. So if you click on the side screen right there, this is one of the steps. I believe there's about 4 I used to make this. So this has a bevel emboss and a color overlay on it. And what did I say? I showed y'all this before. So you go again, and it's literally just the cream BA. This font is called, if anybody was interested, this is the Coca-Cola font. It's called Loki Cola. So you can go get that off of the fonts. It's on that website I shared with you guys. I'll put it in the description. So you can come back and you can get that font name if you want. So this is just a regular font. This is blank, it's white. I made it white so it's a lot more visible. I do the bevel and emboss. Go ahead and put the bevel and emboss on it and the color overlay. What you can do the contour, the texture, the cover overlay, things like that. And then make sure that you go to the next step, which is I added another bevel and emboss, an inner glow, a gradient overlay, and a drop shadow. Those are all the things that I put on the cream BA, just in the back, just the cream BA. Right? So this cream BA in the back has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total styles to make that cream BA. And with that as well, if you're doing things in Chrome, there's different ways to adjust it, right? So if you want it to be a little darker in one area or brighter in one area, there's things called curves, which are ways to play with light that's put onto something. So I have 2 curve layers on top of the cream BA, which is why you see different hits of light in certain areas. You can play around with. I can change it. I'll show you guys now what it would look like if I played around with it. So take this right here. You see it getting darker and brighter and darker. You see that right there. Certain ways you play around with it, it'll mess up your design. So if I go up here, it's a little too much light for me. I bring it back down, bring it down, bring it further down. It's a lot darker. Kind of like that though. So you can go about here is good though. I don't know about you guys. Well, you can do that. You can play around here. All these different points on the graph are different ways to adjust it. And I have 2 of them on because I wanted to have 2 different styles. So I have another curve right here, which will also adjust it as well, making things darker and brighter in certain areas, like here, things like that. Curves are a way to play with the lighting of a font, an image, a design, whatever you want. you can use curves to play around with it, to make it cooler, I guess, per se. So like you can do that. You can make, things like that. Curves are a thing where it's like there's no set curve or something. You want to pick choose which curve you use for what design, what photo. You can put this curve on a photo and change this lighting in a particular place. Things like that. Then I also have, let me turn this off. I have these studios, which is just a base studios font in cursive I got from DeFonts. It's called Photograph Signature. You can go grab that on DeFonts. I'll put it in the description if you want it. So there are two effects on there. There's an inner glow and an outer glow. That's it. I wanted it to give a hint of red, so that actual design is red, the inner glow is red, the outer glow is red. That's why you see this kind of, this kind of, what's the word? I wanted to give it kind of a, what's those signs? A neon sign look, without having to go through the process of turning it into a neon sign. So I just made it inner glow, outer glow, make it look bright. It's a pretty simple way of going about it. So when you put that on top of there, it looks a bit better. Yeah, so that's why the outer glow is there, also to make it a little bit more visible. When you turn these off, it's kind of plain to me. So I just did those things to make it look a little better. Personally, in my opinion, it looks a little better. So that's how you can make something like this with the styles I gave you. The different fonts that are available. The fonts has hundreds of thousands of fonts, probably. I'm not even sure personally. So you can choose something on there that you want to use to make something like this chrome look. So yeah, it's really not that hard. Play some. Alright, anyways, back to this. So that's how you make the Green BA Studios logo if you were interested. So that's how I made this right here. You can use this if you have a PNG image. I think Chi or somebody's going to show you how to take the background off of a design you have. Let's say you paid somebody to make a design for you if you don't know how to do it, and he sent it to you as a JPEG. You don't know how to get the background off. You want to look how it sees on the shirt. She will show you how to take off a background or something so you can easily see it on a shirt. I personally have all my designs in PNG already, so all I'm doing is taking it from the finder that's right there in the middle. Let's take another design I have. Something I was playing around with. Go something like this. Put this. It's a PNG file. So all you literally doing is taking that file from your finders, if you're on Mac, and grabbing it and just literally drag it onto the Photoshop file. You can resize it with these right here. If you're on Photoshop 2019 or above, or I believe it's 2018, it'll resize it perfectly. It won't adjust the image so it's crooked or it's shrunk. So if you hold Shift and you go and you move with those, it'll change your image. It'll change your image to whatever way you want it to. If that makes sense. So you can go like this, only if you're holding Shift. If you're not holding Shift, it'll keep it in a perfect shape. So nothing is smaller than the other, nothing's crooked or anything like that. So just put this. Yeah, you want to make sure that you try and keep it in the middle. Your Photoshop will already come aligned, so if your image, your shirt's in the middle, your design will automatically go in the middle. So you can put something like that, just press enter or the arrow key, the check mark I was telling you about, the top corner. And yeah, you can file. Y'all click file. In the top corner, be right next to Photoshop. Export. Export as. I'll open this up on my screen so you can see it too. Go. Oh, it hadn't fully opened yet. Okay, here it is. Anyways, this is what they call export as. So when you want to export a shirt, you know, post on Instagram, let's say, make sure that you put it format. You want to go JPEG, because when you're posting on Instagram, you want your image to have a background. So if you post it the other way, it will give you a black background. You don't want a black background on the t-shirt, obviously. So we're gonna go export all. And you can save it to wherever you want. I'll save it to my desktop, just click save. Go back to the Finder we were in before. Finder right here. So, open Finder, desktop, and it's right here. Pull it up and on the screen. Can I love when they tell me I can't love myself? It don't matter what they say about you. How in the hell could I possibly love someone else? I be hitting that note too though in the cat. So oh wow, this shirt is huge on the screen. So this is what your exported shirt looks like. Sorry about that, guys. So this is what your exported shirt looks like after you've made your mock-up. This is the back of a white t-shirt, by the way, not the front. So you can take this and put it on Instagram, Twitter, send it to your friends, you can send it to your mom, send it to God knows who, whoever you want, and do whatever you want with it, you know? So yeah, that works. Forward this a little bit though. Like, okay. Hey. Alright. So yeah, you can send this to your mama, your granny, your auntie, your uncle, your sister, your brother, your motherfucking kids. I don't give a damn. But yeah, that's how you make a mock-up. She will show you how to take a design off a background. But if you want to make a mock-up, this is the original on Photoshop. These two off the screen. So yeah, this is the original PSD file. So yeah, yeah, that's how you make a PSD. Not a PS. That's not how you make a PSD file. That's how you export a file on Instagram. So yeah, let's do another mock-up real quick. I'll show you guys. We'll grab another design. One more mock-up for you guys before somebody. I feel like I've been preparing since before. Let's go desktop local. So this is our design, or this is my Finder. So we'll go with the Amok design. Something that we haven't. Dang, I don't have any new designs on here. They're all on my list, but we'll make it work. We can go with. Oh, look though. Or actually, let's change it up. So I have a blank tees folder. Oh, let's go yellow hoodie. So back to my designs folder. What would look good on a yellow hoodie?
You gon' ride to infinity. I'll be riding home, but soon as I get home.
Or something. I might go with it. This look good on a pink hoodie. Let's go pink. Oh, this would look great on it. So I'm gonna go back to my blank tees folder and open up my PSD file for pink. Let me take that. Go back to my designs. I'm going to take this design, just drag it in like I said. If it's a PNG file, you don't have to worry about a background. And resize it. Make sure you resize it to fit the hoodie. You don't want it to be too large, too big, too small. Something like this, I wouldn't put in the middle of a hoodie. Personally, in my opinion, it just wouldn't fit. So I'd go, actually, we'll go middle. Just like y'all. Oh, we did middle last week. So yeah, press enter. It's pretty simple. Complex process. That's brand. So yeah, you can go middle. I'm actually gonna do left pocket because it just, well, right on the screen, but you do left in person.
I got too many hoes, but they ain't you. You like to put that shit in your nose, but I still love you. Be doing shit that nobody knows.
I'm gonna move my webcam. I'll move it right here. How about that? I feel like this is easier for y'all to see me. Yeah.
If you ain't nasty, don't at me. I've been working all day.
Okay, cool. I like it. Anyways, so this is the mock-up. I usually put a left pocket. You can zoom out to look at it. I zoom out with Control Plus, Control Minus on a Mac. There's also a magnifying tool.
Lately I've been thinking about us.
Oh, right here, I'm sorry. So you can zoom out, change it to a plus, just command. Yeah. So personally, don't use it. I use command plus, command minus. A lot easier for me personally. So anyways, this is a hoodie with the mock-up. I'm gonna go to file. Make sure you click export.
I've been working all day.
Export as, not export as PNG. The mock-up, not a design file. Remember that.
Okay. I can't leave you alone.
I'm going to make sure that's what you're doing, right? Alright, so I'm going to put it on the screen so y'all can see it. Alright, so this is what should be on your screen once you click export as, right? So once you have that on your screen, make sure you change your format to JPEG, JPG. Whenever you're doing a mock-up, make sure you change the format to JPG. Alright, so export all. It'll tell you where do you want to save it at. I usually save it to my desktop. You can name it whatever you want. I'll go design school. And we can go back to Finder we were in. And right here on the desktop. You guys can see it. Right here on the desktop. Designs. Well, I suppose school one. But you can double click to open it. I'll put it on the screen now so y'all can see it too. Yeah, once you open the file, it'll look like this. Double click on it, it'll open up. And this is your mock-up. You know, if you're on a Mac, you can literally click here. Max. But yeah, click airdrop. Airdrop it to your phone, airdrop it to your right next to you. Whatever you want to do. I don't know why I was doing it on my OBS, but anyways, you click the share right here, and you can airdrop it. You can send it a text message. You can do anything you want. So yeah, it's a very complex thing to do. She's making a so that's how I go about making my mock-ups. I feel like I'm missing stuff. I'm going to save that. So yeah, I feel like I've taken way too much time. I've been going on for about an hour. I only have 6 people in here. Feeling kind of these are some of the files I've been working on lately. Take a look at them, guys. Cover art, shirts, hoodies, designs, cover art. I don't even know what this is. Cover art designs, things like that. Yeah. So I felt like I didn't do a good job, but I guess I did. Anybody has any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. Y'all probably know there's 6 people in here, but I doubt anybody will be commenting. If you have anything to add or you want me to do before I go ahead and drop it or the chat. I'm sorry. In the chat. It is. Anyways. Let me show you. I can't even remember what file I was gonna show. So sorry. But like I said, I will add the files for my blank tees for my fonts that I used in the video. I will add all those into the description. Come back here. You can watch it. Watch me do it. You can grab the font, follow along. Don't know if my steps were that good, but anyway, yeah, something in particular. Oh, I was gonna make a whole flyer on here, but I feel like that'll be way too long. I feel like that'd take way too long. I've already gone for an hour. So every next time we do this, I will demonstration. I actually have a flyer I'm supposed to do right now. Do it on here. I'm gonna give Seaman stuff. So until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in. I had about 5 viewers this whole time. I appreciate you guys for staying tuned in to my first time teaching a class. Essentially, I'll try better next time. I'll have actual actual points. I'll have actual examples ready for you guys that we can walk through. I'll post on my story asking you guys for suggestions on any exact fonts or any exact logos you want me to go over, any styles, any fonts you want me to do. Personally, I do feel like I know how to use fonts efficiently, so maybe I'll go back on her tonight and share the fire, but for now, y'all stay on here. I'm gonna go ahead and send E-Man this stream key so you can go ahead and get tapped in. Appreciate you guys so much for staying with me for an hour. Hey y'all. Hey, blessed everybody. Love you guys so much. New merch coming soon. I'm actually about to go make some merch right now. Actually, yeah.